$100. You've seen this price more than once and every time you left the subscription page. Maybe you're a solo developer looking for the best tool to work faster. Maybe you lead a team and you want it to deliver more at higher quality. But every time you postpone the decision, you weren't 100% sure it's worth it because it looks expensive. I've been there, I know your pain, but the problem is not Claude Code. The problem is the price on the Anthropic's page. This video is for the engineer who decided to orchestrate agents to make the engineering shift in the way they work. If that's you, here's my promise. By the end of this video, you will have clear decision schema for which subscription to buy and the principle that holds up no matter what Anthropic releases next month. And whatever $100 is in your currency, the logic doesn't change. There are 4 versions to consider: Pro, Max 5x, Max 20x, and the Team Plan. I will help you work out which one is for you. I see this everywhere. Almost everyone I know who works a regular job, when they hear $100 they freeze. They don't pick a plan. They don't start at all. They stick with Copilot founded by the company or with the cursor license they pay out of their own pocket. And they tell themselves that's enough. Some of them reach for Pro subscription instead because it feels like a safe compromise. But after all, an hour of agentic engineering, the tokens run out and they are waiting for 5 hours window to be reset. In about 3 working days, you hit the weekly limit, and the weekly limit is a part of Anthropic's strategy too. After that, they quietly go back to Copilot or Cursor. The problem is this: $20 is not really a license at all. It's more of a 1-month experiment. It ends before it ever teaches you anything with Claude Code. In the previous video, I showed you the real numbers on the invoice, $19 for Copilot. The most big companies buy their employees, and what it actually costs you when Copilot can't keep up with agentic engineering. Now I want to show you the same fresh look, this time on the invoice for Claude Code license. And here's something you have to know. The price on the price list is not cost of the tool. The true price is how much it costs you to finish one delivered feature. And once you start measuring this way, the Pro subscription at $20 is the most expensive plan on Anthropic's site because it never lets you do work on time with an AI engineering approach. Let me tell you how I got to those conclusions, and it's not a dramatic story. The first time I heard about Claude Code, I was on holiday with my family. There was a vibe across the internet about it, and it got me so excited that I wanted to get home as fast as possible just to give it a try. So when I finally got back, I started where most people start, the Pro subscription, $20. The first thing that hit me wasn't the model, it was the feel of the terminal. Even though, until then, I had only ever worked in Visual Studio Code. After 30 pleasant minutes with the command line tool, the $20 limit was gone, inside the 5 hours window. And I didn't hesitate. Those 30 minutes were enough for me to decide. I bought the $100 plan on impulse, not because I sat down and calculated the costs and the impact, but because I wanted more right now. The 5-hour reset counter didn't interest me at all. What $100 gave me was not more requests to the model, it was a completely different way of working, spec-driven development. Work based on specification. You write the specification first, together with AI. You review it, and then you ask the agents to implement it, even in parallel. And this way of working is very token hungry. It eats token fast. That's the reason why $20 for Pro couldn't handle it, and $100 could. That $100 plan max is the seed that took me from 16 to 48 story points in a single sprint. I covered that fully in the first episode, so I won't retell it here. On the project I lead, that came out to almost 4 times the throughput. Not in a marketing slogan, in the real burndown chart. So I didn't freeze at $100, but only because $20 had already given me those 30 minutes that made everything obvious. The engineer who freezes at 100 never got 30 minutes. The fear was never the price. The fear is never having felt what's behind it. So let me walk you through the decision schema now, all 4 versions, including the one I deliberately choose to buy. So let's read this pricing page the way an architect reads a system diagram. 4 versions, 2 minutes. That's the lens I bring to this. An architect's job is to pick up the best tool for software development, not the cheapest one, not the fanciest one. I do this as a lead developer who also takes the solution role from time to time. I look for solutions to problems, for opportunities, for growth. I don't read those subscriptions as a shopping list. I want the best tool to solve most of my problems and most of my team's problems. And that's why we're here. And this isn't only my point of view. The people running those companies say the same. Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google, on the Lex Fridman podcast in 2025 June, talking about engineer and AI. His words: "You're designing, you're architecting, you're solving a problem." And Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic, at Davos in January 2026, on the same shift. I have engineers who say, "I don't write any code anymore. I just let the model write the code. I edit it." The engineer's work moves up from writing code to orchestrating agents and doing code reviews. And that's the reason why reading a pricing page like an architect is a skill that's in play right now. Enough talking about this page, let's actually open it. I will walk you through it the way I would do it sitting next to you. On the top of the page you can see 3 tabs: Individual, Team and Enterprise API. Most people see API and get pulled in. Don't. That one is not for you yet. We stay on Individual. Individual gives you 3 tiles: Free, Pro, Max. The first trap. Free is $0. It looks generous, but free doesn't have Claude Code inside it. $20 a month for Pro includes Claude Code. Max subscription from $100. Max is 2 versions hiding behind 1 tile. Max 5x at 100, Max 20x at 200. And there's also another subscription which is called Team and Enterprise. And Team subscription is dedicated to teams of 5 to 150. That 5 is the floor, not a suggestion. If you're a solo developer, this tab is not your decision. So now you've seen the full page, 4 versions. And the API tab, we get to that near the end. The page won't tell you which one is yours. And that's it, what we do next. The first thing an architect notices in this, the page sells you the version, but what actually drains them is tokens. Get this one idea wrong and you pick the wrong version. So stay with me on this one, the whole decision rests on it. A token is a small piece of text, more or less 3/4 of a word, a short question you type into Claude Code in around 15 tokens. One code of file 100 lines is around 5,000 tokens, hundreds of times more. A whole repository loaded into context is hundreds of thousands of tokens. So when you think it gets 45 messages out of the plan, that's a number the page lets you believe, and it's wrong. Two engineers at the same seniority level on the same subscription hit the limit wall at completely different pace because they burned their tokens at completely different pace. And this is also why those big numbers finally start to mean something. 100,000 tokens is roughly 150 pages of text, or about 20 code files. 200,000 is around 300 pages, 40 files. 1,000,000 tokens is about 1,500 pages. Call it a small to medium code base. And since we're talking about limits, there's something more you have to know. Those usage limits don't appear for no reason. Before the end of August last year, Claude Code had only one limit, a 5-hour window with no weekly limit at all. The most intensive engineers run Claude Code without a break, agents working in the background non-stop. Anthropic infrastructure couldn't handle it all the requests, so Anthropic announced weekly limits aimed straight at the people running Claude Code 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. When they announced it, they said it plainly. One user had burned tens of thousands of dollars of usage on $200 plan. That's why the weekly limits arrive. For you, the lesson is simple. Pick your subscription according to your real usage, not according to the budget. There are about 5 counters for the limits. A 5-hour counter, a couple of weekly counters, and few more. You don't have to memorize them. You just have to know where they are, and there are about 5 counters, not more. You can check your usage on separate subpage, and there's one dedicated counter there with its own name, Claude Design. It's a visual space for prototyping user interfaces, and it runs on the Opus model. The important thing here, it has its own budget. It does not eat your Claude Code limit, so if you see it and start to panic, calm down. That's a separate wall. It's not yours. There's another line of limits: routines. Routines are automations that run in the cloud. You write a prompt into a repository, and Claude Code runs it in a schedule. You can turn your laptop off and it still happens for you, even when you're offline. Honestly, for the decision we are trying to make here, routines change nothing. They work the same on both versions of Max, so they draw tokens from your normal token limits anyway. A nice little addition, not something that decides which subscription you buy. Let's make this physical. You have a 5-hour limit and a weekly limit. And there are rough numbers that tell you how much each subscription holds. One warning first. Anthropic does not publish the capacity for the different subscriptions. So in an operational expected outcome, not a guarantee, and limits can change. Treat it as an estimate, not an agreement. And one honest point. These numbers are for a single 5-hour window. On the top of that, there are also the weekly limit, but Anthropic gives no numbers for it. And I'm not going to guess. So, in simple words, Imagine a week as a stack of windows. On the Pro license, one 5-hour window is roughly 30-something thousand words, let's say 65 pages, or 9 code files of 500 lines each. Max 5x is 5 times more. Max 20 is 20 times more. So one window on the $200 plan is over 1,000 pages of space. That's how the tokens work, and that's how you can finally understand these versions. They stop being abstract levels, they become a number of code files you can picture. Now, 3 questions. Question 1. Are you testing the tool, or are you getting serious about using it? If you're only testing, the Pro subscription is enough for you. If you want it for real work, move up. Question 2. Do you run one project or several? One project with some breaks between your sessions. Max 5 is a good option for you. Several projects or several features implemented in parallel at the same time. Jump straight to max 20x. Question 3. Do you work solo or in a team? A team of at least 5 people or more. If you're a solo, stop at max subscription. If you work in a team, you have to consider the team plan, for a reason I will explain in a moment. 3 questions. Most people skip all 3. They pick the wrong subscription in panic mode, scared of the high price. Now let's go through all 4 versions, one by one. The Pro version, $20. This is for testing the Claude Code tool. That's it. Real work with agents eats it in about 30 minutes. And the weekly limit hits you in the middle of the week. It's an entry point. It's not something that will satisfy an AI engineer. Max 5x, $100. This is for daily work. For your working hours as a software engineer or AI engineer doing agentic engineering. It covers 1 to 3 agents or even more, depending on the tasks running in parallel on one project with some breaks between your sessions. And here's one thing you have to hear. For real work with agents across an 8-hour day, $100 is the minimum. For $20, you disappear in half an hour. $100 is the level where you start delivering reasonable results. People ask me, how is it possible that $100 can carry a whole day when $20 is gone in half an hour? That's not a contradiction. The usage isn't constant. There's work where you review the specification, when you do the review by hand, when you do code review, and that costs nothing in tokens. On the top of that, during your working hours you have meetings. You have a lunch break, a coffee break, other breaks. Managing 5-hour window well is a matter of planning. You adjust to it, and that's how you get the full value out of a $100 subscription. If you find your rhythm, $100 carries an 8-hour day. Agents running non-stop with no break at all would empty those tokens very, very fast, but real work doesn't look like that. At least not now, at this moment, especially in bigger companies. And here comes the honest conclusion I shared in the previous video. There I said that $19 Copilot is enough for most people, but for me, it wasn't enough because of my experience and the way I work. The Spec-Driven Development approach, the AI engineering approach, Copilot couldn't carry it for me. Here's the same thing. From the other side, Max 5x at $100 is a good choice for most engineers doing solid daily work with AI. $20 is not enough. But please, don't assume you need the highest possible level from the start. That's not true. One more thing. To be clear, what are you really buying for your money as a software engineer? The whole price list comes down to one line. On the Pro tier, $20, there's a single bullet point. Includes Claude Code. That bullet points to the proof that you want to avoid the free version, because the free version doesn't have Claude Code inside it. To have Claude Code, you have to buy at least the Pro version. And here's the thing. Pro already gives you the full coding power. If you move up to Max, you find out that you simply get more tokens. The set of features is the same as on Pro. Team is more or less the same as Max, but it's aimed at companies. It lets a company manage and audit security and how people work with AI safely. So if you look at the ladder of features, that ladder ends at Pro. Pro already contains everything. Everything above Pro is not more features. It's more space, more tokens, and more control over the tool, over yourself, and over your team. Okay, now I will tell you directly why I prefer $100 over 200, over max 20x. I run the max 5x plan $100. I could be on 200, but I'm not. It's my choice because the other $100 goes into a different set of tools. Kimi CLI from Moonshot, Suno, a Google API key, DeepSeek, wire it straight into Claude Code. And the honest part, this is not me paying with tools. This is the set that takes on the real tasks in my private development. If you cut off DeepSeek, Kimi, and Copilot, then I would need the $2,100 license from Anthropic. Now I have to be honest with you about the ceiling. A real coding day, a 5-hour window, up to 8 working days. That limit can generously get in the way. You can still work with it. You mix your agent work with meetings, or you start with 5-hour counter a few hours before your working day actually begins. So the window stretches across the whole day. And there's something you sacrifice, the weekly limit, because it burns out much faster. How to handle this? That's a topic for another episode. And one more honest thing. $100 is enough. That's only partially true. It's true for me, because I have real practice in this way of working, with agents, with AI engineering. A junior or someone who just started will burn tokens completely differently. Their prompts won't be precise enough. They will need more repetitions and there will be more wasted loops. So if you're at the beginning of this AI engineering role, count that in advance. Your version depends on where you are at learning curve, not only on the number of hours you work. So here's my point of view. As a lead developer and an architect on $200 plan, it's not better. The same models, the same functions. What you buy is 4 times more headroom that you have on the $100 plan. $200 in the version for the moment when you stop experimenting and start maximizing the result. When you build products, do AI engineering, build whole applications in one day, in 5 hours. It's just one more obstacle removed. That's what the version really is, and what I believe most strongly, nobody should buy the $100 plan on day one. Start with $20. Feel what the Pro license is like, how fast you hit the limit, how little sense it makes, and then move up to the 100. And switch to 200 only when you truly need it. The upgrade between the $100 license and $200 is painless. One click, it happens instantly. You lose nothing. There's no penalty for the upgrade. Now, surprising one, the team plan. I'll be honest, I don't sit on the team plan myself. I'm on max 5x, $100, one seat. So I'm reading this one as an architect and a lead developer, the person who actually has to make this decision for a team, not as someone who uses it day to day. And here's what surprised me when I read it carefully. The team plan is one plan, but inside of it, you pick between two kinds of seats, a standard seat and a premium seat. They are priced separately. They give you different usage. You can even mix them in the same team. Some people on standard, some on premium. So the team plan is not one number on a card. It's two decisions in one. Let me put real prices on both. A standard seat costs $25 a month, or $20 if you pay annually. It gives you 1.25 times more usage per session than Pro. So a standard seat is roughly a Pro seat with tiny bit more headroom and full Claude Code on it. A premium seat costs $20 a month or $100 annually per seat. It gives you 6.25 times more usage per session than Pro. That's the official number, straight from Anthropic, not some calculations I did. And against max 5x, 5 times, a premium seat is actually more per session than my own seat. Premium also has Claude Code on it, same Claude Code, more headroom. So you can see what this really is. Inside one plan, you have two completely different price tags. Almost a Pro on one side, more than a max 5x on the other. And then the condition. You have to buy at least 5 seats. There's no team plan for 1, no team plan for 3. 5 is the floor. The max plan have no minimum. You can be alone. The team plan starts with 5. So do the floor math. The cheapest way in various the most serious way in. 5 standard seats monthly is $125 a month for the whole team. 5 premium seats is $625. Annual billing knocks that down. 100 for 5 standards, 500 for 5 premiums, but the structure is the same. Standard for the room, premium for the people who actually live inside Claude Code. And there's another thing I have to say straight. I've heard people, and I said this myself earlier too, think that on the team plan there's a shared pool of tokens. That's not true. Usage on the team plan is per seat. You don't share any pool of tokens. So buying team because it pulls the budget, that's wrong reason. So why does the team plan exist if Pro and Max already give you Claude Code? Remember what I said one chapter ago? The feature ladder ends at Pro. Pro to Max is more headroom. Max to the team plan is not more cloud, it's management. You get the admin console, single sign-on, central billing, spend controls, usage analytics, the things a company actually needs to put on AI tool in front of its engineering safely. Those don't come with Max. You get them only within the team plan. So when you buy it, you buy control plus on premium seats the biggest per session headroom on the whole price list. So now, 2 completely different decisions inside one plan. Let me show you both as an architect. 5 standard seats at $20 annual $100 a month total is the cheapest way into team plan. You're not buying performance here, you're buying the room, central billing, one bill instead of 5, single sign-on, audit, who's using what. You're buying control plus the biggest per session headroom on the price list. You pick this when you got 5 engineers running Agentic Engineering every day, spec-driven, parallel agents, and you have to keep them inside one company management account. One bill, one admin, one audit trail, one more headroom per seat than my own. And yes, $500 a month for one team looks expensive. We will come back to this in a moment. Divided by 5 people, by the features they actually ship in a month. That's the only price that matters. So who is it for? A solo developer? Max 20x? Never the team plan. 2 or 3 engineers on the same project, still solo plans. The team plan only makes sense for a technical lead, an engineering manager, or a CTO with 5 or more software engineers who need central control. And if that's you, then one tool for everyone's machine is a separate topic. One more thing on the names, so it's clear. The plan is called the team plan. Inside it, you choose standard seat or premium seat. Both include Claude Code. Both count against the 5-seat minimum. There is no plan named Team Premium. And above the whole team plan, there's Enterprise. Audit logs, single sign-on across the whole company. So if you're an independent software developer, none of this is your decision. That license is not for you. These don't sell better coding. They sell audit, safety, and security to a company. It's a choice for a leader of a company, not a personal one. And one honest disclaimer, because I have to. Prices on the team plan change too. This is the live picture today. Before you click buy for your team, walk through Claude Code pricing. But before you click buy, there's a few honest questions a senior engineer will throw at me. Stay, they'll save you the dumbest mistakes fast. So, the first objection. But before the real one, let me clear the ground, because some people are in the wrong place. Claude Code is a tool for orchestrating agents, for AI engineering across the whole development lifecycle, writing the code, code review, the CI/CD processes, the way your pipeline runs. If what you already want is an assistant that auto-completes and chats while you write code line by line, that's a different category of tool. That's Cursor or Windsurf. Good tools, just not this decision. Now, the real objection is one experienced senior developer throws at me. Why not just use the API? Let me give you a clean separation, because some people get misled there. The API is for building your own agents outside Claude Code, your own applications built on AI integration system that runs on their own in the background, with nobody supervising them. A subscription is for working with Claude Code directly, not in the background. When Claude Code is your copilot, it's your cockpit. You have your hands on the wheel. You're not running a system that works on its own in the background. Here's my own experience. I connected Claude Code directly to the API, and I worked for 1 hour doing AI engineering work with agents, the spec-driven development approach. In that 1 hour, I burned about $58 in tokens. 50 euros, since my Anthropic bill is in euros. Working from a specification is very token consuming, like I said earlier. And there's one word on the API price list you have to understand: caching. Let me explain it in a simple way. The same way I explained tokens. When you work with agents, the model reads the same thing over and over. The same specification, the same files, the same conversation, growing turn after turn. You're reading all of that. Every single message would be slow and expensive. So Anthropic does something simple. It remembers. The first time you pay a little to put your specification into memory, that's the cache. Every time after that, the model doesn't reread it. It picks it up from memory. And the price tells the whole story. Putting something into memory costs a little more than reading it fresh, call it 1.25 times the price. But reading it back out costs 1/10, 90% off. It's like a coffee you order every morning. On day one, you explain the whole order, and after that, you just say the usual. You pay the small premium once, and then you save on every turn after. Why does it matter for you? Your subscription has all of this baked in. You never see the caching line, you never tune it, you never got a surprise bill from it. The API hands you the raw machine, caching and all, and asks you to drive it yourself. A subscription is a flat rate model. You get more and cheaper than with the API. There's an interesting mode in Claude Code called headless. You just pass it arguments, and it prompts in the background. But it's not an replacement for the API. On its own, it gives you more trouble than benefit. It has a very narrow usage automations that run without the developer supervising in the loop. And there's the trick people actually tried. Anthropic's subscriptions are powerful, so what did people do? They picked a cheaper agent tool instead of the API and pointed it at their own flat-rate Anthropic subscription. Tools like OpenClaw, Code, and Klein did exactly that. They reverse-engineered the way Claude Code logs in. They even faked Claude Code headers, so they look like the real Claude Code client. From January this year, Anthropic blocked it. Tokens from the flat-rate subscriptions are now assigned only to Claude Code. If you use an external tool, you get an error. This credential is only authorized for use with Claude Code. The principle is the same split again. A subscription is for hands-on working with Claude Code and Anthropic's own apps. An automated third-party tool running as your engine, that's API territory. The head of Claude Code, Boris Cherny, said it plainly. Subscriptions weren't built for the usage patterns out of these third-party tools. And I want to be fair here, because it's really easy to make the problem bigger than it is. It's not that external tools are banned forever. From the middle of June, there's a separate Agent SDK credit that lets those tools use your subscription, but it's metered, built at the full API rates, with nothing rolling over the next period. The crazy free ride on the flat rate subscription has ended. The tools haven't. You can still try different tools, but if you try the old trick today, there's a real risk. At best, your login quietly stops working. At worst, your account gets flagged. If you want to stay legal, right with your agreement with Anthropic, the supported path was always the API key. And there's a connected thing that confuses all of this. If you hit your plan limit, Claude Code doesn't have to stop you. Of course, you can get a notification. Your limit is gone and you're out of tokens, you have to wait. But you can switch on extra use credits and then you pay for whatever you use. You can set a monthly cap, but pay attention to the rate. The rate is the full API price. The second you cross your subscriptions limit, you're instantly on API pricing. not the flat rate subscription. So be careful when you turn that feature on. Now let's compare it in dollars. From the customer's side, $200 of subscription is more or less like $500 calculated at API rates for a very intensive user. One developer has his own local logs and work out around $5,600 of costs converted to his API rates for his single heaviest, most intensive month of usage. Forbes reported about $500 of compute for a similar intensive user. So as you can see, API usage gets expensive. If you're a software engineer and you're not building systems based on agents, it makes sense to avoid the API. And if you're looking for a shortcut to try or learn Claude Code, skip the $20 and go with the API instead. That's not the right way. Let me explain why. With the API, you pay for every mistake. With a subscription, you just pay for the whole month. And when you're learning Claude Code, you make a lot of mistakes. That's how you learn, by paying for your mistakes. The API is the wrong financial instrument for a learning curve. A subscription is what handles that. It protects your financial safety. It absorbs your mistakes. It's an insurance. And there's another way, a third way of working. I just want to flag it for you so it doesn't raise unnecessary questions about the license. You're allowed to run Claude Code in the terminal connected to a local model, a model on your own machine, or to another model entirely. For example, DeepSeek, Kimi, or GLM, I want to say this straight. It does not break any Anthropic license. It's a built-in function. It's not a trick. Anthropic's servers are never touched when you redirect all the traffic to your own or to other model. It can be cheaper, even free, but free is only honest if you already own a high-quality machine that can run a serious local model. Or you spend a few dollars on DeepSeek, which is generally cheap, but then you sacrifice quality. And how well Claude Code integrates with Anthropic's own models. There are real honest trade-offs, and that's a topic for another episode. I'm not telling you right now to skip paying for the license. And I have to give you a few honest objections before you decide anything. My results that rough 300% more delivered that comes from 20 years of experience and clean code in our project. An engineer who is mid-level or junior working in a project loaded with technical debt will not deliver that much. There's no guarantee that if you buy the license you will get the same results. You have to count that into your decision when you pay for the subscription, because the code quality matters, clear conventions matters, low technical debt matters. That's the project I lead. Clean conventions, low technical debt. AI inside a heavy old spaghetti code project is a completely different case. That's another episode. The overall schema, the AI engineering approach still works there, but the rate is lower and the results are not as amazing. And one more thing, price changes. Between March and May, Anthropic made 3 changes to pricing or limits. The schema doesn't age, but the numbers do, so please check the fresh data before you make your choice. And Opus 4.7 was released with a new tokenizer. The same prompt now eats and burns more tokens than before. So take a look at the actual website before you make your final decision. Okay, let's close this. Remember one principle. I promise you at the start, the one that holds no matter what Anthropic changes. Here it is. The price is a structural friction. It's not a verdict on your own worth. The engineer who throws at $100 isn't being lazy, he's protecting next month's family budget. That's a sensible instinct. But here's the twist. Your private practice is your practice. A private license in an investment with a 6 to 12 month horizon. If you deliver one feature, one product, one application that is better because you trained yourself on this tool, the investment has already paid for itself. That's how $100 stops looking like a price and starts looking like a career bet. Be wise. Stick with the learning curve. Next up, your first week with Claude Code. Hands on the keyboard. If you just choose your seat, that's the video. Drop a comment with the version you choose. Pro, Max, Team, or the one you talk yourself out of. And tell me why. I will read every comment. This is the engineering shift.